Hey guys, I am back with a new video. This is part 2. What if Kakashi adopted Naruto? And yeah, let's get started. We're gonna leave off where we left off. Okay, found it. There you go. Naruto, where are you? We don't have the time to fool around. Kakashi searched everywhere till he finally found him. In a closet clear into a tight ball under a jacket and whimpering. Come on out. I won't let anyone hurt you, he said in a smooth voice. No, he said, trembling under the coat. It's not bad. I told you, I will keep you safe, he said. He talked to the boy for quite some time with no serious access before getting a little frustrated. Come on, let's go. He tried to gently pull the boy out, but he got a bit of his efforts. Hissing and pain and swallowing the curse. He continued to tend and tried again. I tell you what, you can hide inside that jacket while I carry you. How does that sound? That way no one will see you. Kakashi waited till the boy eventually nodded, then leaned into the closet and pulled Naruto out. He wrapped the coat around the boy and left the apartment. Kakashi figured that taking to the rooftops might scare the kid, so he walked. It had been a long time since he had done that. The only time he ever walked the streets without his Anbu mask on was late at night when there weren't many people around. There were too many people passing in around him, looking at him, waiting to talk to him, maybe waiting to his heart began to beat fast. He felt sweat beginning to drink down. Naruto pressed up to his chest, might have sensed his fear because his began to swim and widen it anxiety. Kakashi peeked open the jacket, hugged him to his body tight, and whispered, "Shh, it's okay. We are both okay. We're both just meant to breathe." Taking his own advice, he breathed deep several times and went himself to calm himself down. He felt like everyone was watching him, like an exhibit in the zoo. Man, I wish I didn't have to look at all of these people. Too bad I don't have a book to read or something. Anything so that I don't have to look at their faces, he thought to himself. He opened the jacket open again and met Naruto's curious eyes. Hey pup, do you want to fly like a ninja does? Please say yes, he thought. Thinking about overcoming his fears was one thing, but actually doing it suddenly was another. Naruto nodded. Naruto grinned up at the masked man and allowed the jacket to overcover his face. He pointed at the tall building next to him. Up, he shouted. Okay, don't be scared. I won't drop you. He smiled in relief, grabbing the boy firmly and ran up the nearest building. Soon was racing across the rooftops. Naruto actually stuck his head and arms completely out of the coat, enjoying the keeps moving. There was other nin traveling that way, but no one bothered them. Soon they arrived at the Hokage Tower. Kakashi landed outside the office window and peeped in. Sarutobi waved him in. "You're late." Well, you see, I had a few issues I had to solve through this morning. Speaking of issues, I had a interesting visit with head mission from the orphanage this morning. Sarutobi lit his pipe and continued. It was seen that one of her chariots was kidnapped by a Captain One-Eye Shinobi with silver hair. That is very interesting. But I have I have two eyes. Kakashi said immediately at relief. At the Hokage's narrowed gaze, he straightened up. "I didn't kidnap him per se. I rescued him. He has been treated horribly, and she was about to hit him again. I just then the bone in his arm moved, and Naruto poked his head out of the jacket and looked up at the copy nin." Oh my god. Okay. Oh, hold on. Something's going on. Where is it? I think I lost. No, I found it. Naruto makes baby sounds. He asked with painting question. Kakashi gave his famous eye chuckle smile and said slowly, "Yeah, pup, we're flying again." Oh, said fly again? Sorry. He said fly again. And Kakashi said, "Yeah, pup, we're flying again. Let me talk to the Hokage for now, okay?" Sarutobi, who had been watching their interaction extremely, was very pleased. He knew that the shinobi was slowly losing his humanity. He had suffered too many losses from such a young age and spent too many years in the Anbu back ops. Naruto needed something to care for him, and Kakashi did as well. This worked out really well, but that didn't mean he would make it easy for him. "So, what is your entrance?" "I am going to take care of him for now on." It wasn't a question. What about your position within the Anbu? You cannot do both. Also, your apartment is too small for the both of you. Oozing slowly in a drag of his pizza and dragged on his pipe and exhaled slowly, the smoke exhaling his head for the moment before disappearing. "Are you sure you can do this, Kakashi? He has been through a lot in his short life and has been hurt many times. The villagers hate him no matter what his father wanted for him. I'm afraid if things can continue, he will learn to hate Konoha. Can you give him the well of fire, Kakashi? Can you teach him to be a shinobi who will love, trust, revenge, and fight for the village's sake? You cannot keep him for a couple months, then just quit on him. If you agree to do all of this, I want you to adopt him. Also, I know that you are such a loner. The boy will need to be able to go outside and make friends. He needs to become a true part of the village. Will you love him? For one brief moment, he froze in panic. He started racing. Am I really waiting to do this? It is so dependent. Can I truly help him, or will I do more harm? How can I help him overcome his fear when I have so much of my own? An image of Minato popped into his head, helping him to get over his father's suicide, teaching him about the will of fire and sacrifice himself for the sake of the village. Yes, for that man, I would do anything. To do any less would be a mountain to his name. I will take care of him, sir. He will get everything he needs from me. I won't quit on him. I owe it to my sensei. I will protect him. I won't fail, sir. The scene this fast, appointing Naruto's unsurely winds up in the hospital. Naruto usually wakes up in the hospital on that day from some sort of accident or other. Some drunk villagers almost killed on his first birthday. It was as bad as last year. I was going to have the Anbu guard him this year. He looked at Kakashi extremely. I will protect him, sir. Well, Saitobi grunted. I will check up on you too from time to time. Come back tomorrow for paperwork. Oh, and one last thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You have friends out there that would do anything for you. If you don't, just let them in. Trust them. Understood, sir. Kakashi bowed his head at the Hokage, then vanished out the building. As he stood on the roof, he removed the jacket from Naruto's body and held him up by his elbows so that they were face to face. With a very slow expression, he said, "It's just you and me now. It looks like I'm adopting you, I guess. I know I'm probably not the best choice for you, but I promise you now, Naruto, that I will teach you how to be a good man, just like your father and mother would have done. I can never truly replace them, but I can try and carry on for them. Yes, you can call me Dad now. What do you think about that, pup? Can you say Dad?" Dad? At Kakashi's nod, the little Kyuubi lit up with proud at doing something right. Just as quickly, a questioning look across his face. He asked, "Fly again?" He chuckled. "Oh yes, pup, we will fly again." He put the boy on his shoulders, told him to hold on, and reach across the rooftops towards the market. Naruto twinned his fingers through Kakashi's hair, grabbed his neck in a chokehold with his skinny legs, and held on tight as they flew away. Seconds later, he laughed for the first time in his short life. Alright. Chapter 3. Seconds later, okay. They didn't go straight to the market. It was still so busy at this time of day, and the kids was having so much fun that Kakashi made 3 trips around Konoha rooftops. Afterwards, he felt very good. He was dripping with sweat, but it was a good workout. He choked his head to look up Naruto, who was riding on his shoulders. "You hungry? Again?" "Yep." "Hungry?" "Yep." He whined his body in excitement, then said a lot more of that was completely beyond the copy nin's expressions. The kid really could talk. The trick was trying to understand it. I just take that as a yes. He knew the place that was very near the Ambu headquarters. It was mostly furnished by shinobi who ordered takeout, so the place should be pretty empty. Plus, they serve a dumpling dash that real bland. Perfect for the boy. Kakashi felt a gentle at the nape of his neck. Years of dangerous living had taught him to never ignore that feeling. The tense and looked carefully around. He knew someone was watching him, but didn't see who it could be. Knowing that there was not a single person in the village that could harm him, he ignored it for now. But keep on alert. Just let someone try something. He smirked to himself. He carefully walked at the normal pace to the restaurant and entered, taking a table in the rear with a view of the front window. He set the boy on the chair and waited. Really, he thought casually when he discovered who was following him. He wanted to hide under the table, but instead he choked back in the chair. But his foot on the other and adopted an uncurious, cool expression. Guy meant to enter the restaurant, and all his eyes staring green Calyx's glory. Kakashi honestly liked the shinobi most of the time, but his clothes just made him want to cringe in embarrassment for the man. Yo, Kakashi Hatake, my Toyo rival. I thought that was you. He gave his checkmark nice guy pose with his thumbs up and then a wink. I haven't seen you in a very long time. We need to concert of skill to complete in. I will show you what the power root youth can do. Huh? Did you say something? Kakashi said in front of the two guys in orange. Kakashi, my rival. Our record stands at 17-17. My youthful energy burns bright like the sun. We need to tiebreaker to prove who is more youthful. Guy's loud tones started to freak Naruto out. His head went back and forth, shaking and escaped. The great man was blocking the exit, and there strange man near the other exit. He jumped off his chair and above into the copy nin slapped. Kakashi was not wearing his Jonin vest, so the boy was visible to pull up his shirt and bury his head within it. The Kyuubi's hair chucked his chest. His tiny arms were wrapped around the nin's waist in a death grip. Kakashi shook in his breath when Naruto's nails dug deep in his back. Guy, keep your voice down. You're scaring him. He rubbed the small back under his shirt. Guy was amused when he saw the small boy trembling in fight. He decided to drop the act with his friend, asking for him to join them. He pulled out a chair and sat down with a smile. He drolly said, "You seem to have a little parasite attached to you. Is this the reason why I haven't seen you in such a long time? I haven't heard that you married." Kakashi sighed and flustered. This this was something he wasn't ready to explain yet. Not a percentage. It's not a parasite, guy. And no, I haven't not married. It's my, well, this is, he stammered. This is my adopted son, Naruto. And no, we are not going to discuss this here. Come over to my house later tonight, and I will tell you everything. The man went silent as the serfs came over to take their orders. The compass and the cubie out of his shirt and hand him a piece of bread, with the promise that more food was coming. The boy sat in his chair but nervously glanced away from Guy. He refused to look at the skylight at him, but watched him from the corner of his eye. Guy watched them formally till he realized why the kid looked so familiar. Isn't he He stopped at Kakashi's hard look. Right. Well, anyways, are you up to a challenge, my rival? He grinned wide, showing the hunted wide smile. Kakashi got a sudden burn idea. He silly said, I don't really have the time for a competition right now. Unfortunately, I still have quite a few things to do. Too bad we couldn't complete to see who could finish buying the things on my list. Yo, yeah. What a brilliant idea you came up with, Kakashi. I accept your challenge. If I do not win, then I will run 100 laps backwards through the village on my hands. No, really, you don't have to do that, started Kakashi, even though he knew it was useless to even err. He put his list for the mask and showed them to Guy. What are napkins? Later, after they had eaten, they walked to the market together. Kakashi still had to carry Naruto because he refused to put any of the boy's old clothes or shoes on him. He planned to burn the items later. The first place they went to was a child's clothing store. The man picked out several outfits for the Kyuubi, but Kakashi firmly refused to buy the green jumpsuit. Such to Guy's disappointment, he was able to find a new jacket for the boy. As well, this one had a large hood that Naruto could use to cover his head whenever things become too much for him. The color is not the greatest, but it is still too cute, he thought. Wait, did I just say cute? Oh man, I'm really losing my edge. He looked up at the Kyuubi, clinging to his neck, and smiled. It is kind of cute too, the little Kyuubi. After finding some sandals that would fit, he reached up, lifted him off his shoulders, and set him on the ground. Kakashi put the new sandals on the boy. You have to walk a little now, pup. It's good for the muscles. Someday you might want to become a big, strong shinobi like your dad. With a sad although he added to himself, like both of them. Naruto did not like this at all. He felt insecure and anxious without the man holding him. He clung to Kakashi's hand like it was a lifeline and looked up at him with watery eyes. Up, he pleaded. Not yet. Let's get you some clothes first, he said gently to Naruto. Then Guy said, are you ready to start? You can get the groceries and I will find a bed for the kids. Whoever gets back to my place first wins. He pulled his hand away from the boy and gave money to Guy. The Naruto reached into Kakashi's leg and hid his face. Let the power of youth improve. The silent ninja are on us this day. I shall win, Kakashi, my eternal rival. Huh? Did you say something? You're just too cool. Alright, start! Guy ran off as fast as he could towards the food market. Kakashi smirked to himself for his carefulness. He grabbed Naruto's hand and walked up to the woman opening the cash register. He pulled all the clothes and box and despair on the counter. He gave the woman one of his eye smiles and said, I also want to purchase one of those little kid beds that you sell. He looked down at and winked at Dachubi, paid the woman, and took his bags. Naruto was clinging on his leg, so Kakashi grabbed him one arm around the button lock and lifted him to his chest. Are you ready to go home now, pup? He asked after he gave the woman his address for delivery. He said tightly. Just then he spotted a Ralph teddy bear. He stared at it wistfully. Kakashi saw he was looking and packed up the bear. It seemed like such a silly thing to him, but the boy clearly wanted it. He paid for it and handed it to his shy little son. Naruto tenderly touched the soft fur. At Kakashi encouragement, he shook it, then cuddled it against him. He tramped a warm smile its way into the nin's heart. He held his bear tightly and across his arms, sucked his thumb in his mouth, and laid his head on Kakashi's shoulders. He fell asleep before they had even left the store. Kakashi was relieved about everywhere they went. He couldn't help but notice the glares from the villagers. He spent more than a few back. Naruto didn't even wake when they arrived at their apartment or when Kakashi changed his diaper. After Kakashi lay down on his bed, the stress of the day finally hit him. His body began to shake as he had a flashback. This one was the time after his father died. As the shame emotions enveloped his stress, Kakashi slammed on the couch, boneless and helpless. He moaned, "Please, God, not again. Please, no more." Everywhere he walked, people whispered, "Son of a terror, too powerful for one so young, could be dangerous." The small boy was very young and didn't know what to believe. His father was everything to him, and living legend. To White Fang was the parrot of the village. Kakashi worked so hard to get out of his shadow, and now he was hated. Minato tried his best to help him, and it worked on the outside. He learned to cop, if only he didn't told his father that he hated him and was embarrassed of his right before he died. A part of him just knew that his father killed himself because of his son's words. The White Fang appeared before him. His back was turned and refused to look at Kakashi. "Please, Father, forgive me for not believing in you. I'm so sorry. You were right to what you did. You tried to protect your comrades. I understand now. The image before his eyes flared away, leaving the Nin feeling relief and worried. If he would have never find a solution. He returned to the press quietly, but the feelings that memory brought on stayed with him. He was sitting on the couch trying to meditate when Guy arrived a half an hour later, shocked that his arrival beat him. Kakashi put the groceries away. He pulled out a large bottle of sake to share. It's not like I'm hiding myself. I am just being as social like the Hokage told me to be. He comforted himself. Just as he was about to begin his tale, there was a knock on the door. He was very surprised to see his old friend, Asama Shiratobi. Kakashi had probably avoided him for a long time. He was too passive for confident. Asama, what brings you here? He said coldly. My dad told me about what are you doing with the kid. He said, lighting a cigarette and holding him a small bag. I think it's great, so I bought you something. Wow, said Kakashi, pulling out a book on helping children overcoming tragic events. Wow, thanks, Asama. I haven't been sure how to help the poor kid. This should help a lot. You want to come in? I was about to tell Guy the whole story, but you have to put out the cigarette. Naruto is sleeping in the room. I can't tell the Hokage to put his pipe out, but I can't kick your sorry butt out of it. Sorry, I can't kick your sorry butt out of it for it, he joked. Kakashi told Shiratobi the whole story, and he drank a lot during the telling, but no seems to notice. He actually was relaxed and comfortable after they left. He took off his mask and settled deeper in the couch. He drank the rest of the bottle of sake and was constantly getting other. Then he heard Naruto in the other room crying out. Kakashi rushed in alert for any danger, but it was just a nightmare. He leaned down over the bed, answering and comforting the boy. He was suddenly fully awake, and honestly terrified. Kakashi's heart began to pound in response to the child's fear. It's okay, son. Dad's here. Don't be afraid. It was just a bad dream. Naruto slammed off his bed and under weeping of the sibling with fear. Me sorry? He cried out. There is nothing to be sorry for, Naruto. There's nothing to be sorry for. Naruto, it was just a bad dream. Please come out. Tell Daddy what made you so scared. No, that hurt me. No. He cried Naruto to Kakashi confusion. He had no idea whatsoever about what the boy was trying to say. He tried to pull him out, but Naruto fell out of the bedroom into the living room. He picked up the empty bottle of sake and shook casually at Kakashi. Me hurt. He dropped the bottle, ran to the corner of the room, and cleared into a ball. He rocked himself nervously back and forth. He looked even frightened than he did the other night when the Nin found him. His heart hurt at the scene before him. Kakashi picked up the bottle and at stared at it for a second. Some drinking villagers almost killed him, whispered the voice of the Hokage in his mind. Oh God, what have I done? He cried out. He turned towards the child, who flinched away from him. Never before had he hated himself as much as this moment. Damn it! He rolled through the bottle. The crash has smashed against the wall, made the boy scream out suddenly and grab handfuls of his hair, trying to rip them out. His eyes held a defiant look that Kakashi had hoped never to see again. He ran over to Naruto and pulled his hands away from his head. His little body went still for a moment, then he began to harshly whinny about this. His nails scratching Kakashi's arms and face, and he bit half several times, drawing blood. Still, Kakashi did not let him go. He carried the now limp boy like a phantom. Those dead eyes penetrated his soul. He screamed out, "Come back to me. Come back. Please, son, come back." "This is all my fault." He started to cry. "Please, don't hurt yourself. I'm sorry, son. Dad is so very sorry. I won't hurt you, I swear." Tears fell from his face into Naruto's head. The guilt of scaring his son because of his selfish actions was tearing him apart. What's so wrong with me? Why do I continue to mess up? Why can't I do anything right? Oh God, please forgive me, son. The sound of his father's grief pulled Naruto out of his panic state. He looked in shock at the whimpering man. Something inside him told him that he needed his help. He threw his arms around him and hugged him. Yeah. So, okay. This time it was Naruto turning to be lifeline for Kakashi. He kissed the boy in the head and led on him for a long time, then vowed that he would become a better man and a better father. That night, an hour after they ate dinner, Kakashi looked throughout fondly at the listless boy, hugged his stuffed bear, and rubbed the fur on his face. He needed something to atone for his guilt. "Hey pup, let's go to the park." He knew that Naruto was scared to be in public, but he also knew that he needed to find a way the boy to overcome his fears. "Park? No," he said, shaking his head. "Dad will be with you." "No," he said firmly. "You can wear your new jacket. It's very special. It has a nice big hood. Look, stay here and I will be right back." He went to the closet and pulled out an orange coat. He had to admit he didn't like the bright color, but the hood was pretty cool. It had dog ears on the top. He showed it to Naruto. His eyes brightened as he looked at it. "Ooh." He let Kakashi put it on him, then looked in the mirror at himself. He pulled the hood up, and his face disappeared within the folds. "Yeah, it's pretty, and you look really cool, little man. So what do you think? Can we fly to the park and then Dad will summon his Kunin for you to play with?" He worked through Kakashi. As he saw his son's face light up, he grabbed some dog toys, put their sandals on, put his mask up. When he was outside, he put the boy on his shoulders, ran up the side of the building, and raced across the rooftop towards the park. Naruto let go of his hair and threw his arms out wide with a chuckle. There weren't very many kids there. There was only a few that looked around Naruto's age. Kakashi summoned his pack and gave the Kyuubi one of the play balls. As they started throwing the ball, a little boy slightly older than Naruto, walked over to him. He had red fang marks on his cheek, messy brown hair, and a pointed teeth. "You got Kunin? Can I play with you?" Kakashi held to him a ball with Naruto Shelly nodded. "This is Naruto. What's your name?" he asked. "Kiba. I like your dogs. Do you know that my clan works with dogs? I gonna have my own dog someday too. My mom said so." Naruto looked at him shyly and then asked, "Play with me?" The boy played for hours. Naruto came out of his shell running around the park with the dogs at his feet, screaming his head off and laughing joyfully. Kakashi kept an eye on them while he read a parenting book Asuma had given him. Reading made him feel so calm in public annoyances. He didn't once think about people watching him. When Kiba's mother Tursum came to bring her son home, Naruto became frightened and ran to Kakashi. He buried his head in his shirt again. The nin sighed panically and pulled him out. "Your friend is going home now. Be a good boy and tell him goodbye, son." Naruto slightly nodded and walked over to Kiba, eyes wide, eyeing Kozen warmly. "Bye, Kiba. You wanna play with me tomorrow?" "Yup," shouted Naruto happily. Shooting Naruto happily. He carefully zoomed her to me to glare at her reaction. He knew that the expanding moment when she figured out who Naruto was. She appeared to tear her apart if she made one wrong move. Kakashi stirred up, which shifted her attention to him. "Kakashi, what are you doing with this boy?" she asked his dream seriously. "He is my son now," he said firmly. "What's so of it?" She suddenly looked at him up and down for smiling for a wise look. "Good. I have been after Sarutobi for a while now to find him a home. You're a little young though, don't you think?" "I may be only 17, but I have been on my own since the age of 5. I'm completely capable of taking care of this boy," he said grumpily. "I can see that. You keep him safe. The 10th is few days away. If you need any help, come to see me anytime. Oh, and by the way, Hatake, he is more than welcome to any time to play with my son." Kakashi blinked in surprise and then bowed his head serenely towards her. "Thank you, Insaka-sama." She laughed as she walked away with Kiba and called over her shoulders, You can drop the sama crap. We're going to be friends now. Just call me Tozum." Kakashi relieved his kunai and took the smiling boy's hand. Together they walked into the twisting towards their home. The tall silver-haired Jonin and hat and the small blonde Kyuubi. The little boy carried the whole way. While Kakashi partly listened, not understanding much of what he's saying, he nodded his head so happily that his pup found his voice. There was only one bad moment when someone is discussed suddenly at the door. Naruto jumped about a foot and pulled his hood up, shivered, but jam to be held. Naruto was too excited to sleep, so Kakashi took him to the bathroom for a bath. The book said to talk a lot to the child that has traumatized. He said that it was good for the child to talk about their feelings and expressions, but Naruto was not equipped to do that yet. He decided to do the talking. He had also thought that one of good way to counter his own fears would be to find something else that was more important than them. He held something in his hand right now, in the form of a tiny, almost 3-year-old boy. The Bast, his son, he told him of Obito's death. It was my fault. I was so focused on duty and wisely to sacrifice my comrade. Obito told me that anyone who was willing to abandon their friends was worse than scum. He was right. I would have let Rin die for the sake of our mission. Obito and I saved her, but it was too late for him. He gave me the Sharingan eye. I wish now that I could have been a better friend to him while he was still alive. As he named his son, Bast's son, he started a smile and resembling. I just don't understand him. He was always late and making lame excuses. I was so busy trying to be the perfect shinobi, trying to improve that I was not a traitor like people thought my father was. I just didn't understand Obito. Rin told me that she loved me, but I wasn't worthily up for it. I also let her be killed. Obito loved her, and he never got the chance to tell her before he died. For the longest time, actually some even now, I think it should have been me that died that day. I began to act like him after he died. It is who I am now. I don't want to die anymore, not while I have you. Kakashi Slam stopped moving, and his words repeated in his head, I don't want to die. He smiled and said out loud in a wide, filled voice, I don't want to die. Kakashi picked Naruto out of the bath, wrapped him in a fuzzy towel, and hugged him. He dressed him in pajamas and set him on the bed. He turned his hair and laid him on the bed. He covered him with a blanket, was about to leave the room. Then the boy whimpered, no. Do you want me to lay down with you? Kakashi could tell he was scared, but he put his pajama bottoms on, lay down next to his son, who edged away from him, staring at him. Swiftly 1 minute, then hopefully the next, smiling to him. Kakashi appeared to fall asleep with his eyes closed. He deepened wider to the source, deciding against it. He continued to breathe deep. Within a few minutes, he sensed a Chubi moving slowly towards him. Well, as strengthfully as a almost Ryo could. He moved closer, but his head on Kakashi's chest and his thumb in his mouth. His teddy bear lovely held tight in his other hand as he fell asleep. Kakashi stayed awake, staring at the clumsy for a long time in completion. His arm wrapped around the boy, cuddling on him. On him. He could feel his little heart beating in a surge as his own, and it relaxed him. He began to meditate, thinking of the day's events. He had never come to him before. Why guy act the way he did? Maybe that act is just a copying mention, just like the way I act like Obito. Maybe everyone else is just as broken as I am. Maybe I am not so different after all. Asuma is leaving to join the 12th graduation ninja. Gemma is always making jokes and so happy, but is he really? I don't think so. I have seen his true face when people weren't looking. Maybe I should take Naruto and his little friend to the training grounds with me. We should do a little training and hang out with some of my fellow shinobi. It should help the boy be less afraid of being outside. Maybe me too. His thoughts were interrupted when something cold and wet his chest. Naruto was sleeping with his mouth firmly open. He dropped a dose of a lot, drew a lot. Kakashi pulled the boy's thumb out of his mouth. He closed his mouth and eased himself out of the bed and jumped into the shower. He eyed the ground pebble of lingerie and the clothes can that was starting to first. Tomorrow he planned to teach the Kyuubi how to use the towel. He lay back in the bed with his book, finding several things that should really help. When Naruto began to rock back and forth and moan, Kakashi was ready. He drew him into arms and pressed him to his chest, rubbing his back and whispering smoothing words. Then his nightmare took hold. Shh, it's okay, little man. Dad's here. This is where I'm gonna end it. So, yeah, I see you guys in part 3. Alright, see ya, like and subscribe, and I see you guys later. Bye-bye.